Irregular Nation, welcome to Irregular Reviews. And you're like, are there fireworks going? Oh no, there's not. This is not the Irregular Toy Show. No, this is a new segment that I'm going to create. You know, that we want to try something, you know, a little different. We're going to start reviewing things a lot more because I always have a lot to say about stuff. So, welcome to our first episode of Irregular Reviews. And it is on Stranger Things, as you can see behind me, Season 4, Volumes 1 and 2. That's right, Volumes 1 and 2. Now, look, we can call this spoiler, right? But if you have not seen Season 4 yet, what are you waiting for? Especially if you're a Stranger Things fan or a fan of sci-fi, horror, shit, just some entertaining fucking TV. Now, of course I have to sip my beer, and yes, this Irregular Review is brought to you by Flying Dog. Yes, that's right, Flying Dog. Blood Orange IPA, an 8.0 on the Richter scale. Yes, that's right. And was there an earthquake in Season 4? Well, that's what they're calling it, but we know that was the Upside Down. Oh, yes, because the 4 gates have been opened. So, throughout this little irregular review that we're doing here, look, everybody that knows me, I jump all over the fucking place. And that's going to happen during this. So we might be talking about one thing that happened early on, and I might be going all the way to the end. That's just how it's going to go. And also, anybody that has watched this show, please leave your comments below in the comment section, and you know that I will be engaging with you. But actually leave some comments down there, because why wouldn't you want to? Because if you did love this show, you'll want to talk about it. I know you do. I do. That's why I'm doing this. So look, let's start it off. Season 4, man, did it freaking hit like Season 1 did. Like you've never... I'll put it to you this way. If you never saw Stranger Things, and you just jumped in, and you jumped into Season 4, one, slap you for doing that, because how dare you. You always have to start from the beginning. But it's still... No, yeah. That's right, everybody. Don't forget, Hope Productions is here. You can watch it backwards because this. Hey, look, Season 4 calls back to Season 1. No, there's no judgment. There's no judgment. But how dare you? But look, it's flat out. This season was extremely entertaining. Now, you look at Season 2, Season 3. I know some people say Season 2 was a little slow, and Season 3 was. They all go, oh, it was starting to get back to where it was. Whatever. If you're telling a story, you need to build your layers, your context, whatever it may be. But, man, did I love the way that this fucking season went down. Oh my god, did I love it. I mean, come on. Whether they knew from Season 1, how this phenomena all started, that they were gonna, that this guy, number 1, Henry, Vecna, that guy was one scary SOB, let me tell you. I mean, he played It, I believe, and I didn't watch the new It's because, one, the original Stephen King one from when I was a kid, yes, 40 years old, when I was a kid, scared me shitless. I did not want to ever see that again with that motherfucker biting off an arm, looking out of the thing. Nah, I'm good. But... Oh, no, I'm fucking good on that shit. But this, I don't have the actor's name. I don't have my computer in front of me because this is a new style kind of segment that I want to do. Where I'm just kind of talking, So, this guy killed it. This individual, he really killed it. And, I'm sorry, I don't have the actor's name, but it's okay. We don't need to sit there and do all that kind of crap here because I'm just reviewing the show itself. What I loved is the way they tied his villain story in to this season. And like I said, we're going to be jumping all over the place, so it's okay. But when we got to Volume 2, right? And they went into his backstory, of what happened to him in the Upside Down when 11 sent him into the alternate dimension, and talking about how it was a dimension untouched by man, this, that, the other. You see all the freaking scary freaking things going on. I'm not sure if you could see any of that behind me, because we're playing all this stuff, but one, I love that we finally got a practical effect. Practical effects, like an actual person that is the villain. He's put in makeup and artist, all that kind of shit, with a little CGI added to him, but, people aren't acting with nothing in front of him. It's not a green screen or a blue screen or whatever the fuck they call all these different things now. You saw this scary SOB right in your face, and I think I read that getting into his character, he had pictures on his wall, and he would stare at them for hours with the eyes cut out of the actors playing his victims in the show. Whoa, dude, talk about getting dark into your character. Because, Henry's character is dark. The way he executes his family, and then the way that they actually, the way that he was taking people out with just the and then taking the eyes out, and the way everything would crack, and oh my gosh, it was just brutality. And the one thing I did like that they did throughout this season was the way you built him up. You know what I mean? When he was unstoppable. No one could really stop him except for 11. So when that final battle, and that's not even the final battle, so anybody that was kind of upset, really, or let down, I don't even understand how you were let down. I don't also know why a lot of people wanted so many of the main characters to die. My one buddy, Rexy, he wanted characters to just die. I'm like, why? What is wrong with you? Why do you want people to perish? I'm like, I don't want to see the main characters die. Now, Hope Productions, Miss Kelsey was not here when I was watching this through for the first time. When we got to the end. Oh, thank God she was. But she's seen me with other stuff like Bar Rescue when I started yelling at the TV. I was yelling at the TV, especially in Volume 2, when it was a scene, with Papa and 11, and this is after he's been shot and all that kind of shit at the end, and, he's taking her out, and she's taking down the helicopter, which was a freaking awesome scene. I was legit yelling at the TV because I'm like, oh my God, General Sullivan's gonna be coming out. Someone's gonna snipe one of the main characters because so many people wanted people to die in this. I'm like, why? Don't you? I'm not saying you want a happy ending, but why do you want all your characters to perish? I don't want any characters to go, and the characters that did die in this, you're like, damn. No one wanted to see Eddie Munson go. The Eddie Munson character, and I called him Robert Downey Jr. Now everybody will be like, well, there's a lot of other people who called him that. Well, the guy really looked like Robert Downey Jr. in the 80s when they put the hair on him. Now, without the prosthetic hair and all that, he don't look like him at all because the guy's got the widow's peak and all that shit. Oh, the magic of movies and TV when they actually add all that stuff.
Oh, unrecognizable.
Unrecognizable. But that character was awesome. I love how they did the Hellfire Club, with the Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, that guy's charisma on screen. I mean, yes, it was on a streaming platform series, but I mean, this series was so cinematic. The way they did it, they had I think it was $30 million an episode or something like that, which is ridiculous. But you saw it, and they did a good job with it. There was no episode where you're like, oh, that looks a little spotty or shaky or anything like. No. And honestly, throughout the series, I never really noticed that. I love the way they did it. And back to Vecna, Henry / number 1. His villainous story, you love the fact that now, yes, they obviously didn't know when they started season 1 where you were going to go, but the way they left the series open, it was very open-ended. And that's when you know you have some good writers, I guess you could say, where you're not closing the book on anything that you're doing and you're adapting as you go. And that's what you want to do. You want to adapt as you go. And they were able to grow this story organically, in my mind. And Kelsey hates when I use that word, organic. But they really... she kind of just made the noise like one of the Demogorgons. But, you know, that was one thing that I noticed throughout. Watching season 4, though, because I did watch it through for a second time, because I was going to talk about it, just to see if I could pick up some stuff. They did some good foreshadowing with characters talking throughout. One of the characters I know that everybody loved to hate was the Jason character. Now Jason and Chrissy, now we know Chrissy, she goes early. But even that character had a great dynamic with the Eddie Munson character when they had that moment in the woods where they're going back and forth because she wants to buy all the drugs because she's seeing all these visions and she's having all these night terrors and all this kind of crazy shit. So she's trying to like escape reality, even though that is what Vecna wants you to do. And Vecna kind of has the, Henry, you know, whatever you want to call him. I like calling him Vecna. I know it was Henry, number 1, and I like how they did that near the end. He had the Professor X, you know, from X-Men powers, you know, where he's able to tap in using the Upside Down and all the weird tethered shit and tentacles, I guess you could say, not tentacles, but the roots and everything, to click in, and he's going through everybody's thoughts, and they have that moment, that one moment in that one episode where he's going through and you're seeing the people. So it was kind of like Cerebro, where he taps into everybody's thoughts. And then he was going after the guild. And then the other thing that I liked, talking about Vecna, was with Will. Now, I had this conversation with my buddy, Rex, and I hope he does watch this because he needs to go back and rewatch it with some of the stuff he was saying. Why? He said he was going to go back and rewatch it. It's okay.
Then I judge him for that.
Huh?
Then I judge him for that.
I didn't try to change anybody's mind. I never tried to change anybody's mind.
But your guns don't let him.
But the one thing that was going on, he was questioning why it only affects Hawkins. But they're openly telling you that you, through any kind of sci-fi kind of style stuff that this is, or horror or whatever, you always have a central point to where it starts. And the central point was Hawkins. So yes, Hawkins would be the first to fall. So nowhere else in the world is affected yet because that has to be his gate to open everything up. And then he is going to destroy the world, which makes sense. So with Will coming back to Hawkins, he starts to feel it. I like how Will kind of like ties back into that because he was such a central point. And that one moment where he's like, it's so weird to talk about knowing who it actually is, and he was the actual villain throughout this whole thing with the Mind Flare. The Mind Flare was the demonic particles, the demonic shadow cloud that you saw that Henry discovered. Number 1, Vecna, when she banished him to the Upside Down right after that scene. Man, that was intense. And that's, I think that's pretty much where we picked up when we went into Volume 2. Yeah. Because Episode 7, man, that whole scene leading up, everything leading up, and you know, because I've been talking about Vecna and some of the backstory that happened in Volume 2, but everything that led up in Volume 1 with Henry, damn, was that good. I enjoyed that story throughout. I love seeing the way that the man turned it from like, kind of, he wasn't the hero or anything, but a real soft-spoken, very you know, like, I'm trying to help you, this and that. Obviously, you had to know he was going to be the villain at some point, but when was it going to happen? The switch that went off after 11 pulled out the the chip in his freaking neck that basically was diminishing his powers, you just saw him turn. And that whole scene was just flat out crazy, intense, dark. And everything that he said, the delivery and the words back and forth, it was just good. And that's what I love about this series. Yes, you might play heavy on nostalgia when it comes to the 80s, which they did through certain seasons, and even this season. You always are going to see that. But that's good. You're supposed to play to those aspects because you have to. But when you got into like the meat and potatoes of the story between between the two, the supervillain and the hero, it's good. It's good. And when you started it from season 1 to going to now, you didn't know what it was going to be, and then they went with this style of villain, and it was the way to go. It was really the way to go, in my mind. And you went back to the Papa realm. Matthew Modine's character, Mark Brenner, where you got to know a little bit more about his character and pretty much how dark his character was. The death scene for him was fitting, you could say, between him and Eleven. When he's the moment where he's asking almost for her like forgiveness in a way, or her acceptance of all that, she does not give it to him. It was extremely satisfying to see that happen, because you didn't want to see Eleven give him that satisfaction. Absolutely not. The guy was a monster. The guy, and you even call it back to that scene where she tells Henry, when they're in Henry's little like home upside down land, in his mind, that Papa's dead. And you see like him stop for a second, and you see him like process it, this and that, in that fucked up version of himself. But at no point is Henry ever a good guy. He's never a good guy. But he does a great job of posing as a good guy when he's trying to manipulate Eleven to get what he needs for himself. Which pretty much every human does in the real world. But yeah, that was great. I mean, I like the Matthew Modine character. He was a necessary douchebag throughout this entire series. He was that necessary douche. And no different than how Vecna said it, Henry, I'll keep saying Henry /1, that he was just an ordinary man trying to search, trying to feel greatness through other people. And how is that not a relatable thing? Not tying it into the sci-fi realm, but anything in life. Whether you're like an agent to like a star. Same thing. Well, not same thing, but what you're thinking of that. But now, going forward with some of that, let's get into some of the other characters throughout this that were extremely enjoyable. One thing I liked that they did in this, and alright, here. Music choices for this season, woo! Were they good? Damn! We had Master of Puppets, we had freaking Separate Ways, so we had Metallica, we had Journey, Kate Bush, burning up that hill, and I feel with God. That whole thing. Holy crap. Yo.
You ever gonna stop singing that?
No.
Please.
I can't help that.
Oh, you can.
Oh, see, everybody.
I'm still here.
I'm getting it right now. They all worked. All the music choices worked very well. But Separate Ways is definitely a good thing to pick in this whole series. Not the whole series, in this whole season, due to the fact that everybody has their separate stories. So you had Will, Mike, Jonathan, Argyle, definitely one of my favorite characters, in their separate story out in Cali, out in the West Coast, searching for 11, all that stuff. Then you had Dustin, Max, Eddie, Steve, Nancy, Robin, out in Hawkins, and of course Erica. Oh God, how could I even forget Lucas? They were dealing with their drama there. Then you had Harper, you had Joyce and Murray, another one of my favorite characters, out in Alaska, dealing with that whole thing with the Soviets. Oh, all the stories I like, and then I like how they all had they all combined. They all were intertwined, but yet all entertaining. You know, they all serve their purposes, and each personality for the characters worked. You know what I mean? For the style of situations that you put them in, it all made sense for each characters that they had, and I like that. I like that because if you had them all in the same spot for this season, I honestly don't think it would have worked. I don't. So good job on that. Good job on that. You had calls back to, like I said, horror scenes. Like you had the roller rink scene, which was a tough one to watch with the bullying part toward 11, and that was like Carrie. That was like the movie Carrie back in the day. And even The Gates. If anybody remembers, there was like an 80s horror. I think it was called The Gate. And I kind of had like reminiscences of that. I like when you're getting into the later parts of like Volume 2 when they're talking about the four ticks, the 4 clock noises that you heard, and that's about the 4 gays. So Vecna throughout was letting them know because he's an arrogant son of a bitch. So that's another thing that I enjoyed throughout that too. You like the Steve and Nancy kind of having those feels again. Jonathan's out, he's dealing with his whole thing, not knowing if he's holding Nancy back and all this kind of crap. So that relationship at one point is probably gonna, because it looks like Nancy's starting to feel it for Steve again. So you have all the different. What the show does is it gives you drama, it gives you sci-fi, it gives you action, it gives you horror, it gives you the gore, it gives you everything. This is the kind of shit that I like. I like when shows are able to give you all different types of stuff going on. And that's why I said to myself, why do you want all these characters to die? If you start killing off characters that you've had the entire time that you build all this rapport for, you're not going to be able to continue the story the right way. A character death has to have meaning to it. Not just, kill him off. No, that's stupid. That's just dumb. But to go into like the one thing I did find funny was the Yuri character, and like I said, everybody, we go all over the place. It's okay. The peanut butter smuggler. That's right. So that character, they did a lot of stereotype characters throughout this from genres of movies from the 80s. Like I said, the Murray character, Yuri, even Hopper. At the end of the day, the Hopper character, you saw the evolution of the Hopper character in this. Loved it. Loved it. That whole prison aspect that they brought to it, and how they gave them a purpose, and how Joyce and Murray were able to go out there and their little adventure, and Murray becoming a black belt. That was, oh my god. I love a lot of that corniness that happens in it, but it was done well. Now, Enzo / Dimitri, the men, if we all watch Game of Thrones, we all know the face of no face, that has a face, that no face. That guy, loved that. I loved his character. I was like, please don't kill him off, and they didn't kill him off. Nor did they really have to. I doubt we see those characters again going into the next season. But they were necessary anyway. It's okay. But, other than that, going off it, we can go into every single character, but I won't do that because everybody has seen the series. I just wanted to touch on, around the hobby, the stuff that was going on. Now, you also saw, before I, touch off with anything or we X out of here, you're seeing a big thing go on with the Bill character, He's having quite a struggle. Now, at one point, I thought he was going to profess his love for Mike, the way that they were talking. I also thought that his painting was going to be something else, but it wasn't. But then you saw the way he looks off, and then you see the way the brother looks at him. So I wonder what that might build into. I'm not sure. But the Will character seems to be really struggling with struggling for purpose, I guess. And who doesn't struggle for that? Who doesn't struggle for purpose? So I'm interested to see what they do with his character. I thought they might maybe X his character out. I don't know. Because at the end of the day, none of these characters can really fight on their own. They need 11. 11 is the heroine of the story. Now, is this story gonna go where we all think it's gonna go, or she has to sacrifice herself? I don't know. We also discovered the fact that she has a power where it's not that she saved Max's life, but she was able to keep her in stasis, but even though Max still passed away for over a minute, the gate is still open, as we saw at the end of it, which was really cool. I like that there was no happy ending, because we know we're going into the final season, and the gates are open, so what kind of freaking craziness is going to happen with that? It did make me do a little bit of the glassy eyes with Dustin and Eddie, because that relationship was really strong. Just as you saw, it almost feels that Dustin's always looking for some kind of fatherly relationship, whether it be through Steve or Eddie, and we'll see where that might go. I hope they keep the Argyle character, because Argyle was good. And then, what are we going to do with Susie? Because Susie comes through in the clutch again in this to find 11, but is that the purpose of her character? That was an entertaining thing. Like I said, they had good comedy throughout this to lighten it up. It got serious when it had to. I mean, look, I might not be touching on all the aspects of this, but all in all, this freaking season kicked ass. For anybody that might not have watched the other seasons and they decided to tune into this one, there's no way they didn't go back and watch all the others. This is a type of series that is very rewatchable. These days, there's not many rewatchable series, I feel. You go through them once because most of them have shock value. This doesn't have shock value. This has some story build-up. You're trying to build up story. One thing I will say is from season 3? Season 3. The one that was in the Rainbow Room with 11. Can't remember her name, but are we gonna get a tie back to her character in the final season? I wonder. I don't know. But, yeah. I mean, that's kind of just my irregular review on Stranger Things Volume 1 and 2, Season 4. It was fantastic. I love it. If you want me to score it, I'll score it. I'll give it an 8.5 out of 10. Oh yeah, that's right, an 8.5 out of 10. So everybody, go hit that like, go hit that subscribe if you haven't yet, and become a part of the Irregular Nation. Because why wouldn't you want to? Come take a ride on the irregular side all the time with this guy, especially that we're going to start doing things like this also, irregular reviews. Catch you all later. Cheers.